Hola, profesor Vargas. Me llamo Jenelyn Myers y voy a presentar una actuación sobre el asunto de la depresión entre los inmigrantes mexicanos en los Estados Unidos. Mi tesis es que para abordar la extendida depresión que afecta a muchos inmigrantes de México, los marcos de asistencia médica en los Estados Unidos deberían incorporar y proveer una accesibilidad a unas prácticas tradicionales utilizadas en México que incluyen la curación de la mente y el cuerpo en conjunto. Para introducir el asunto, según la investigación por Paige Reeves, los inmigrantes mexicanos tienen doble la probabilidad para experimentar la depresión que esos en México que nunca inmigrar. Según Liz Carlisle, la autora del libro Healing Grounds, los trabajos agrícolas y industriales dependen de la red social y situación financiera inestables y vulnerables para ocupar las posiciones laborales muy intensivos con salario bajo. Estas condiciones de estrés y explotación resultan en las condiciones de salud mental y física empeoradas para los trabajadores inmigrantes. El sistema de salud en los Estados Unidos debe tratar las necesidades de salud para los grupos vulnerables como los inmigrantes mexicanos. Porque no tengo mucho tiempo para desarrollar mi presentación, necesito cambiar a inglés, lo siento. Through this group study, Gerald Lackey determined that the conceptual framework of depression does not differ drastically between people from Mexico and the definition of depression provided by the Western DSM-4. However, one main difference noted was the somatization of depressive symptoms, where physical manifestations of depression are discussed more than emotional and mental manifestations. This can imply a social stigmatization of mental illness, or it could also imply that in Mexican culture, wellness and the mind and body are a fluid, interrelated concept. Healthcare professionals should be aware of both the mental health stigma and the muted mind-body cultural delineation when treating depression among Mexican immigrants. There's also a tendency to reject prescription medication for the Western concept of mental illness, which might be partially explained by an imbalance of the mind, body, and spirit associated with depression in Mexico. My slides are not going back like I asked. I'm sorry. Okay. Other evidence noted by Lackey, which suggests a stigmatization of depression, is that colloquial terms to discuss depressive behavior among men are inherently feminine and made light of, such as the term menopausico. An interesting indicator of the stigma may have been studied by Berenson-Gorn et al., where men in Mexico City struggling with depression saw alternative treatments through self-help groups, clergy visits, and traditional medicine, all social interaction that would occur outside the typical social circle. This group study by Lackey supported that most male Mexican immigrants are likely to suggest bringing their wives and families to the U.S. as a remedy for their depression. This could imply that the mental and physical health of Mexican men rely heavily on their wives and mothers, who typically create a sense of place within the home through cooking and house organization. Men often lack the nutritional and emotional support when they come to work alone in the U.S., and this could have a negative effect on their health. Conversely, when wives are brought to the U.S., their mental health is likely to decline, in contrast to their husbands, despite being reunited. The investigation by Paige Reeves discusses how female Mexican immigrants are more vulnerable to depression than their male counterparts due to a more drastic transition to social isolation. Where men's health relies on the matriarch of the house, the woman's mental and physical health relies on their social network of other women in the family and community who share knowledge and resources amongst each other. This is exacerbated for undocumented female immigrants, discouraged from building a social network to maintain the security of their household. Berenson-Gorn et al. Found that Mexican women are more likely to engage in self-care treatment for their depression through home remedies, self-medication, and physical activity. This could be due to their reliance on a shared knowledge system spread through social interactions, which includes traditional health knowledge. Healthcare professionals must be aware of how gendered social dynamics affect mental and physical health among Mexican immigrants. To better support this at-risk cultural group, healthcare facilities in the U.S. should seek to incorporate a holistic approach when treating Mexican immigrant patients exhibiting symptoms of depression by addressing full-body indications of wellness and seeking to treat the cause of situational depression, such as social isolation, rather than only the symptoms. U.S. healthcare facilities can do this by cooperating with professionals who specialize in culturally specific traditional medicine, such as sobadores, espiritistas, y hierberos. Um, para demostrar esta sugerencia, voy a presentar una actuación entre una practicante occidental y una inmigrante de México que tiene síntomas de depresión según el DSM-5. Unas definiciones importantes incluyen el término espiritista, un practicante de la medicina tradicional de México que practica la curación espiritual con influencias de las creencias de los indígenas, los africanos y el catolicismo. Un sobador es otro practicante de curación tradicional que usa el masaje para tratar pacientes. El marco de mi actuación es Center for Healing and Hope en Indiana, una clínica que trata a los miembros de la comunidad sin asegurar. Este centro ve muchos inmigrantes de Latinoamérica porque la ciudad de Goshen tiene muchos trabajos en las fábricas. La practicante primaria es una enfermera facultativa cáusica que se llama Sharon Myers. El intérprete se llama Jenilyn Myers. Ella es en la clínica para observar el trabajo de su mamá, Sharon. La paciente, señora Dolores Hernández. Ella vino a los Estados Unidos de México hace un año para reunirse con su esposo, Jorge, quien vino acá hace 3 años. Señora Hernández ha llegado al Center for Healing and Hope con dolor de estómago y fatiga conjunto con la incapacidad de dormir. Luego de una revisión de su cuestionario médico, la practicante Sharon ve que señora Hernández tiene otros síntomas de depresión y quiere tratarla. Este es lo que sigue. Uh, Sharon. Hello, Senora Hernandez. My name is Sharon. I will be the nurse practitioner caring for you today. What brought you in? Senora Hernandez. For many weeks, I've had problems with an upset stomach. It keeps me up at night along with my nervous attacks. I feel so tired, but I can't sleep. I want to stop my stomach pain. Sharon, oh dear. Well, believe me, I know how terrible it is to stay awake in discomfort all night. I see that your medical questionnaire states that you moved here from Mexico about a week ago. I think that it's possible. About a year ago, my bad. I think that it is possible that your stomach pain stems from an abrupt dietary change, but I also am seeing some other concerns on your questionnaire that lead me to wonder if your issues are largely related to mental health. You mentioned low energy and insomnia. Those are both symptoms of depression, and you marked some other symptoms that to me indicate social withdrawal, lowered mood, and self-esteem. Does that sound true to your experience? Senora Hernandez, I guess that sounds true, but my stomach pain is bothering me the most. My husband wanted me to come here to live with him so that we could be together and both make more money. He's happier and has gained some weight, but my body has not felt very good since I got here. The food isn't really the same, and I have to work, but I don't have very much energy, and I don't know anyone to ask where I can find the medicine I would take at home, like Toronjil Morado for my stomach and my nerves. I understand. We can work with a dietitian to help you find cleaner food sources to match your typical diet, but sometimes symptoms of depression can present themselves physically throughout the body, such as in the stomach and stomach pain, and sometimes it's easier to focus on the physical problems than to address mental health. I would like to prescribe you a medication for depression to see if it helps you to feel better. We can try something else if after 2 months you're still feeling low energy or having problems sleeping. Well, I don't really want to put more chemicals into my body when I already feel bad. Is there another option? All right, well, something that we are developing here is a syndemic approach to supporting our vulnerable patients' mental, physical, and spiritual health with on-site access to cultural healing practitioners. We see a lot of patients from Mexico in this clinic, so we have hired a psychologist, a masseuse, and an herbalist who specialize in addressing some of the unique health concerns experienced by our patients who have immigrated from Mexico. Does this course of treatment interest you? Well, that sounds better than medication, and I think I'd like to try it, but only if it isn't expensive. We've been really working to ensure that our treatments are affordable for our intended patients. To provide more information on the subject, our Sobador can help to relieve some of that living situation and work-related stress that can build up in your muscles and in your body. Our Yerbero is able to provide you with herbal treatments to help improve your mental state and physical ailments. He will also act as a communication bridge between you and our primary care provider team. Should you decide to try a depression medication that we recommend, our yerbero will ensure that there are no dangerous interactions between any herbal remedies you're taking and the medicine we prescribe. And our new espiritista, psicóloga, Laura Aguirre, will provide you with several sources to reestablish your social network. Here, because we have found that social isolation is a major contributor to depression among immigrants in the US. For female patients, she usually shows you a Facebook group you can called Las Mexicanas de Michiana, un conocimiento compartido. She also leads a monthly group therapy session that encourages women to share food, experiences, and resources. She can also provide personal counseling to improve communication about emotional needs between you and your spouse, or life counseling to plan an exit from your stressful living situations that can cause depression. Well, that sounds really nice, and I would like to get to know some other women in the area. I think that attending group therapy could really help you to improve your energy levels a lot. I will connect you with our specialist today. Do you have any questions for me? Not at this time. All right, this role play included an accessible healthcare institution which is specifically tailored to meet the needs of an uninsured population and does not require documentation. It enhanced the current system to include culturally supportive healthcare services that address the dominant population served. The scenario introduced a holistic mind, body, spirit approach to treating depression. It introduced the different levels of vulnerability to depression and isolation faced by women due to differences in social networks and communication, and provided potential options to rebuild a social network and community knowledge. Through the inclusion of a yerbero, it recognizes a cultural aversion towards prescription medication and acknowledges a cultural preference to self-medicate, while demonstrating efforts to ensure patient safety and avoid harmful interaction through provider education. Finally, I would like to acknowledge my mom, Sharon Myers, who is a nurse practitioner at Center for Healing and Hope and provided me with information about the clinic and how they support the community. And then also I would like to acknowledge psicóloga Laura Alejandra Aguirre, who uses group therapy and espiritualista practices to connect, heal, and uplift the local Latina Americana community and she provided me with insight for this project. Thank you. Is my work cited?